Hi, it's Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about common questions about the Lectron carburetor. And I made a video about this a week ago, and I left some things out, and then I've also had some more questions from customers this week after they saw that video, and so I'd like to answer those as well. So we'll start at the beginning here, and that is the most common question would be, what do I need to install this carburetor? Well, other than a few basic tools in your toolbox, like screwdrivers to loosen up the hose clamps and some basic wrenches to take off the gas tank and seat, you really don't need any special tools for the installation part of it. So, what you do need is obviously the carburetor, and then you need a new throttle cable. And the reason you need a new throttle cable is because the inner length of this cable, so this being the inner cable, this part here, this is the outer cable. The inner cable is longer on an Lectron carburetor to accommodate the dimensions of the carburetor. If you try to use the stock cable, the throttle will be, like 1/3 open, and so you're going to have a rodeo on your hands when you start it up. So I don't advise that you do that. I know some guys are on the internet are talking about how you can use the stock cable, and yes, you can use the stock cable if you know how to modify a cable. I'm very familiar with that procedure. I'm not going to divulge that because it's too easy to make a mistake, and that would be a big liability issue for me. So if you want to go down that road, you can sort that out yourself. I recommend you buy a new cable. These are very high quality. They're made by Motion Pro. I've had some guys say, well, the stock cable is better quality than this. Well, no, it's not. The stock cable is probably less quality than this. The stock cable has an outer sheath on it, another sheath that's kind of a floating sheath for rubbing against the chassis or something, which makes it look like a beefier, stronger cable, but it's not. This is a very high quality Motion Pro cable. It's Teflon lined. It's going to last a long time. I'd recommend that you get one of these. Now these are, the current generation that they have here are about 3 inches longer than the stock cable. They did that with the intention of the guys that want to route the cable in front of the triple clamps. We are going to have a 1 inch longer cable so you can run it behind the triple clamps. That cable is probably a month or more out before we have that available. And the current date here is, I believe, June 2nd. So, around the first part of July, we'll probably have those. And today we got a call from a person who said, oh, you sent me the wrong cable. I can't adjust the free play at my throttle. Look at how I've got to turn the throttle quite a bit in order for it to engage. I've got too much free play. Well, no, we didn't send the wrong cable. And that was pretty baffling at the beginning because there's 3 adjusters on this cable. So there's the adjuster here. This goes into the top of the carburetor. So you can screw this piece up or down. It's underneath this rubber boot, so you might not see it, but you can screw this piece up or down, and then you lock this nut towards the carburetor top after you've got that adjustment how you want it. There's also an adjuster here, and make sure that you lock this nut here so that it doesn't come loose and start unscrewing itself and taking out the free play. That could cause a problem. And then there's a third adjuster up at the throttle, which is the most common one to use because it's right there by your hand near the throttle. It's very easy to adjust, especially maybe you've ride the bike for a few hundred miles and you want to readjust it. So that's a very nice cable that is required to install the carburetor. Now we also recommend that you buy one of the metering rod adjustment tools, because you can grab this with a pair of pliers and a rag or something, but if you scar this flat side of this needle at all, you're changing the tuning of the carburetor. This is a patented precision ground, CNC ground needle, and these guys have got this down to a science on the exact dimensions of this. So I'd highly recommend for $19.95 you buy this little tool. It just slides over here, and the way you adjust the needle is we recommend you do it in quarter turn increments, and you can go up to as much as a turn and a half. But if you typically you have to go to a quarter of a turn or a half a turn. If you have to go up to a turn and a half, you've got something else wrong with your bike. People always want to blame a new product for existing issues that their bikes have. And 99% of the time, it's not the new product. It could be how it was installed by the owner and some incorrect installation, but it's usually something else. Like in this case, it could be a plugged spark arrestor, it could be a tired motor, it could be a dirty air filter, it could be a filter that's been serviced improperly and is just full of dirt on the inside, although it might look kind of clean. Yeah, it could be many things. I'm not going to go on to make a list of that, but these carburetors are pretty much bolt-on, and with very minor adjustments, they work. I mean, it's an excellent product. So to adjust this needle, you slide the tool on. The flat side of this tool goes to towards the flat side of the metering rod. And so if you do a quarter turn on it, so I should back up. So this flat surface on the metering rod has to always face the engine. If it does not, the bike is not going to run right. So quarter turn, well, that makes it to where that flat part is not facing the engine. So now what do? Well, this threaded adjuster in here is also spring loaded so that you can make this correction. So you just push it in and turn it right back to where it was. So now the metering rod is a quarter turn shorter, and the flat surface is facing the engine, so it should be all good there. I'm going to change this back so I don't forget and send this to somebody. So there's that, so that's done. And then as far as installing the cable onto the carburetor, so this is threaded and this is threaded. You know, it just slides through here. Then you've got the spring, return spring. Just pull back on this. It just slides into this hole here. It goes there. So it's just that simple. Now it's different once you have it hooked onto the throttle at the other end. Right now it's got way too much length, so it doesn't really show correctly. But you know, this is going to drop down into here and hold the cable into position. And this is all going to be shorter because it's going to be hooked onto the throttle. It's going to look like this. So that should be all about the cable. So back to the original question, what do I need to install this carburetor? Just some basic hand tools and then a cable. And then another really common question is do you guys, you know, custom tune this for my bike when I order them? Well, no. No, we don't custom tune them because they compensate for elevation, temperature changes. So the Lectron factory, they set these up for the model of the bike. So if you're buying one for a 300 KTM, they're set for a KTM 300. You know, on our drop-down list on our website, whatever model you're choosing, the carburetor has the correct needle and needle length and everything for that bike. So we don't have to do anything at our shop other than pack them up and send them out. They're all pre-tuned. Well, the guys also asked me, well, I live in Texas, but I go to Colorado and go trail riding up at, you know, 7,000 to 12,000 feet. What kind of changes am I going to have to make? Do I need another metering rod? Well, the answer to that is probably not. You probably don't need anything. You probably are just going to have to turn this screw right here. It's really difficult. You just turn this idle screw here, maybe a little bit, to make that adjustment, get the idle correct. I doubt that you'll have to touch the power jet. You probably won't have to mess with the needle. Excuse me, the metering rod. These are not really a needle, they're a metering rod. So yeah, if you're a low elevation guy and you're going to go up to high elevation, just chill out. It's probably going to work just fine when you get there.